welcome back to the OnlyAccies channel. It's finished here Kilmarnock 2, Hamilton 0 in a game that Accies would have been looking to take some points off of, but unfortunately it's not went that way. Joined today by Dave and by Brandon as always. Gentlemen, how are we today after that?
It's a bit deflating the way that it's finished 2-0, but we're never. It's not one of the games that of the past times when we've been beat that we knew we were beat. That the game was in the balance. Kilmarnock weren't anything special. Two slack opportunities and they've scored. We saw in previous games with games like, for instance, St Johnstone County, if they had their chances, they wouldn't score. They've not scored, but Kilmarnock have scored their chances. I don't think we weren't out that game at all. I'm a bit disappointed at the fact that when the second goal has went in, we've just allowed the game to continue the way it was. I thought the game management could have been changed slightly, possibly bringing certain players on for the players that were on and possibly going for it because we didn't have anything to lose. But it's a weird one because it's a team that's down there with us and we've been beat 2-0 off them. But the past games we have been beat comfortably. I wouldn't say that's a game we've been beat comfortably because we could have if the chances went our way, if we took the chances that came our way, it'd have been a different story.
Pretty much the same as Brandon, except I hate getting beat like anybody does, but I think that I see some real progress there, and I think without Easton and Martin, I think I wasn't the only Accies fan going into that game fearing the worst, and we've had a similar
100%.
backline to that, and we've been done 5-0 before and stuff. So I think other than Hamilton selling the second goal, and their first one was fortunate. I think we had the better chances. A Dolphins header. I mean that's in 9 times out of 10, isn't it? And the game's different. I think as Accies fans, right? What we want to see is we want to see us given 100%. We wanted to see a good performance, and let's be honest, we want to see chances. And we were complaining 3-4 weeks ago that we weren't getting any of that, and there is real progress getting made. So yeah, I hate getting beat, but I think I'm more frustrated that we didn't take the chances we had. And I think what you said, Brandon, was spot on. I would like to see us go for it a little bit when we went 2-0 down, but then at that time, if we'd have done that, would we be looking at 3 or 4 when we didn't really deserve to lose 3 and 4? Just disappointed, I think, rather than angry like I've been over the last 6 months.
I'm the 100% the exact same as you. I'm very renowned for being a very negative person, not just with regards to Accies, which I'm sure all Accies fans know, but just in general with life. I'm just very negative because if my mindset's negative, it can only be positive. But with that game, it's just I'm not angry with it. I'm just disappointed at the fact that we've not got anything out of it because it was in the balance. They've not been particularly so much better than us. But like you says, Dave, if that was 6 weeks ago, we get pumped 4-0 there, definitely. And we don't even look like we're even still putting anything in the game, which I think we certainly did there. If we brought people on and we went for it a bit more, like you says, that makes us more open at the back. But then people forget, and I think most Accies fans forget when they're replying to sort of, and I'm one of these people as well. See, when you look at the players we've got out injured, it's mental. It is scary. And it's not just the amount we've got injured, it's the specific people that are out injured. Everyone, pretty much 90% of the players that are out injured, you have in your first team.
Yeah.
So
we've got two keepers on the bench, right? And that never, and the fact is we're always going to have the smallest squad. We're always going to have the least amount of money to spend, and on top of everything else, we have a virus that if you come in contact with someone, you're out for 10 days, whether you're sick or not.
Yeah.
That's the rumour that Aaron Martin's self-isolating, I think. I read that. And, so the fact that we're managing that, I think, I feel it seems strange to feel positive after a defeat, and obviously I'm not happy about it. But I thought young Smith, when he came on, I thought he's grown 10 feet even from last week. Scoring that goal's made a difference. And I think the same thing, as soon as Winter gets his break, then the improvements that we've seen in him in the last couple of weeks, he's going to even go on even further. So, you know, I'm trying to take the positives out of a defeat, but, you know, I think they're definitely there, where in recent weeks they haven't been at all.
And Brandon, I was very critical on Twitter of a player, Charlie Trafford, in the midfield. Two kind of slack defending for both goals, but two that he was in the middle of both of them, wasn't he?
It's I'm not his biggest fan, put it that way. I don't want to be overcritical of him, because I don't think you can completely blame. And it's the same thing with Accies fans all the time. When we do get beat or things aren't going right, we always tend to scapegoat the one person. Yeah. So I don't want to be overcritical of that, but had his opportunity to possibly state his place for starting, and I don't see any reason for him to continue starting. I just don't think he done anything. Yes, for some reason, I'm sure we'll touch on it before we finish, Bobby Bullock said he's a very attacking player before the starting lineup. I don't know where he's getting this for. He's a defensive midfielder. But for me, no, he's not done anything there, apart from his one shot that's went slightly over the bar. Very reminiscent of Gary McDonald would be my comparison.
I agree 100% on Trafford. I don't see where anybody who watches him sees him as an attacking midfielder. But I think he cost us today. And with so many players out, like, this was his chance to come in and say, right, I'm going to take this by the scruff of the neck. I'm going to protect the back four. I'm going to be the man today. And I just don't think he did that. But having said that, if that goal went in, I think we'd all feel a bit.
We'd be seeing the opposite, exactly.
Oh, absolutely,
definitely. Definitely.
But no, I agree on that. I think he kind of cost us a bit today. But again, if everybody's fit, he doesn't get anywhere near the starting 11, I don't think. So it's hard to be overly critical of him on that front.
But with that said as well, but then that brings you to the point that Rice brought him in. Rice was very confident about when he did bring him in, and was very quick to sing his praise. We've got a January transfer window now. All our other opposition seem to be bringing in players, which is quite worrying. So fingers crossed, we see that the fact that we've got all these players out, and if they're going to be out for any longer, then we do recruit correctly. So we're not having to have this discussion about Charlie Trafford if he's not going to step up to the plate when his opportunity is given.
And just to bring it to a close here, guys, we obviously did have a new recruit today, a new commentator on Accies TV. Is his debut performance. What did we make of him?
To be honest, I turned on with a couple of minutes before the kickoff, sorry. And let's just say I had it muted by kickoff.
Yep. Doesn't surprise me.
Oh, it's horrendous, man.
But you would have missed some crackers.
Oh, really?
You'd have missed some crackers if it was muted, mate.
Well, the thing that made me mute it was when our colour commentator, Mr. Bullock, was talking about the top four in Scotland being Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, and Hibs. And I was like, just look at the league table on that one.
For instance, if you told me I was going to be the main commentator for St Mirren TV, right? I've not really got the biggest knowledge of St Mirren TV. Yes, I'm a Scottish football fan, but I've not got the biggest knowledge of St Mirren TV. I then go to be the main commentator, and I'm put beside Bobby Bullock. It's a losing battle already. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because it's the way that he's saying stuff. Like Bobby Bullock's saying stuff like, for instance, Charlie Trafford's an attack midfielder. This Anthony's he's not fully 100% knowledgeable of Accies, so he's none the wiser with regards to this. So he's thinking this co-commentator is been and co-commentating for Accies for the majority of their games. Surely he's quite knowledgeable, so he's going to feed off of the majority he's saying. So he's got a losing battle straight away. Yeah. Although it does sound very dial-a-bus, let's say that.
I mean, given the fact, right now, I listened to the Kilmarnock comms in the second half, and they had Gary Dicker on, right?
Yeah.
On co-comms, and the guy who was commentating was obviously a Kilmarnock fan, so like, and except when they scored the goal, he was roaring like an idiot, and and of course, why wouldn't you? And I just don't get the sense that the two guys commentating are even Hamilton fans to start with.
Yeah.
And I take your point about it's his first thing and everything, but surely, I mean, I remember watching a documentary on John Watson, sorry, going off a bit, but the amount of notes that this guy took, right, for one game of football. And if you're going to be listened to, and you're going to be given the fact that Twitter is the most critical, minefield out there, you're going to make sure that you at least know who the top four in the league are, as a starting point,
Absolutely.
And have a bit of understanding. I even remember, it can't even be to do with the quality, because if you remember, I hate to bring up the Stranraer game, right, but they were just fans of the thing. They were brilliant to listen to. And by the end of the game, I probably wasn't alone in hoping that Stranraer would actually win that game. But
I think we're all hoping they won for a specific reason.
Because the commentators were brilliant.
And just before we go, as always, got a few tweets to read out from fans. Stephen D says the fact Rice didn't try and change the game when you're being boss at that is criminal. As always, #Rice out. You might fool some with lucky results and horrific goalkeeping displays, but Rice is the same charlatan he's always been. George Gardner said, don't know what is more depressing, the result or those two commentators. You do know that they are absolutely dreadful. Surely you can do better than that. They are embarrassing. Ian HAFC says, didn't take our chances today. We need some signings before Dundee United, what is a must-win game before playing Celtic and Rangers all within 3 matches. A lot of people always say asking the club to sign some players, and I think today was evident that we do need some players in the January transfer window, so hopefully we do that. George Gardner says, I'd sum it up as a predictable loss based on player availability to a poor Kelly side. Created very little. Adolfin was our best player. McMahon needs to learn to kick with his right foot. Trafford is very, very poor. Malumbu given far too much space. Not to use the subs in the last 10 minutes is bizarre. And finally, Colin Hamilton says, Smith came on and looked good, but why no other changes? Tunde and Johnson must be wondering what they have to do to get on. Might have been different if Adolfin's header had gone in when it was 0-0. So today's game was a weird one. And as we've said before, this was a case of Kelly had 2 chances and took 2 chances. I would say we had the better ones. Hakeem Adolfin had a header crashed off the bar. Charlie Trafford had a looping effort land on the top of the net. Scott McMahon had 2 chances, but he could have done better from. And Callum Smith should have headed it back across the box instead of trying to go for a goal himself. It was an odd one because I don't particularly think we played badly. I think we just had 2 mistakes that Kelly capitalised on. The first one, Charlie Trafford should have cleared the ball but didn't, and Kelly pounced. And the second one, Kilty was left with just far too much space just outside the box. Nobody was close to him. He managed to drop a shoulder and curl it into the far corner. So 2 chances for Kelly and 2 they taken. I can't argue with them for doing it. It's disappointing to lose after such a positive display against Motherwell. We now move on to Dundee United, which is now a must-win game. We find ourselves 11th in the table on joint points with Motherwell, who's sitting 10th after their draw today. But Dundee United is a simple must-win game because after that we do have Rangers and Celtic coming. But as always, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like down below. Comment your thoughts on today's game. And as always, you can follow us on our social medias, all of which are linked in the description. Coming up soon, Brandon and I will have a 2020 review, looking back at all the moments from our podcast, as well as looking back at the major talking points from Hamilton's 2020. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.